Republic of Liberia revenue hearing. Day 2. So we ask around the table for introduction. We'll call your name and state the institution that you represent. So my name is Patience Sekeni Ume. I'm the Director of Communications at the Ministry of Finance.
Ambassador Edward Davis, a member of the Policy Advisory Committee at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, sitting in for one of my neighbors, Sally, who is called on official duty.
James SP, Financial Controller.
Okay. My name is Alvin Deepan, Deputy Controller, Public Works. So, my boss, Lafayette Giri, and Controller are being here today. We're having PSC meeting, PSC hearing at the Liberia Senate. So, the fact that I have to let you know that he was supposed to be here, but he's saying he excused for compensation for him because he was to the Liberia Senate.
Okay, good morning. My name is Arnold Jacket. I'm the Deputy Minister for Administration, Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
Good morning. My name is P. Fulton Blessing, Assistant Minister of Administration and Work.
Prince Nelson, Director, Revenue Tax Policy Division, Ministry of Finance.
Golden City, Director, Tax Policy, Ministry of Finance. Director, Efficiency, of Finance.
My name is Assistant Minister for
Myers, Representative Minister of Fiscal Affairs and Acting Minister.
Good morning. My name is Elijah F. Nufus, Lieutenant General Liberia Immigration Service.
Dear Minister,
What is the Minister saying?
well, apparently there is a conflict, and it's that we have two meetings happening almost at the same time. One private sector planning meeting on the third floor, and then it's like we have this one. So he will stay and then I go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sorry.
So Patrick Dolo, I'm the Director of Administration.
Janet Chikot, Controller, Liberia Immigration Service.
Senior Budget Officer, Ministry of Commerce. Chief Accountant.
Robert Boyd, Director of Moses Kendall, Senior Policy Staff Policy. Literacy Thomas, Policy Economist,
Thank you, everyone. We now move to the Honorable Acting Minister Anthony Myers for opening remarks.
Thank you very much, and I want to say welcome to all of you, our colleagues from across the government, both at the cabinet and specialized institutional levels. We started this process yesterday, and it is a follow-on to the executive expenditure budget hearings that we participated in about 2 weeks ago. In that hearing, we saw that different ministries and agencies submitted the 2 submissions. There were one that had to do with the ceilings that were communicated, and another one that had to do with the addendum, meaning additional items that will involve the ceilings that the Ministry of Finance through the Budget Department communicated to you. And obviously that amount in aggregate exceeded what we projected as part of the ceilings. So what that means is that we, as the Ministry of Finance, working with you, will need to find additional creative ways to increase the size of the revenue envelope. And this hearing is important because your different institutions sit across the two sides of the budget. While you have expenditures to make in delivering your programs, there's a revenue impact of the work you do. So that revenue impact should then contribute to the pool of resources that will be distributed among government institutions to deliver on the national priorities. So it's more like another side of the loop that we have to all help to improve. So we began yesterday with the state-owned enterprises and other autonomous institutions. Today we continue largely with our institutions at the cabinet level and including some in the justice system, as for example represented by the Ministries, by the Liberia Immigration Service. So the purpose of this hearing is also to improve and encourage transparency around the budget process. Transparency in the sense that entities of government need to know what the other is doing. We are the Ministry of Finance, being our responsibility to work on the budget, need to understand the potential that each institution of government has in terms of contributing to the revenue. Knowing that potential then becomes a basis for deciding whether the request that you made during the the expenditure hearing can be justified. So in other words, if the institution has potential for generating revenue, then we think there's a case for them to have a sort of request, if not all, but at least some of the requests that they have made on the expenditure side. So that is the purpose of the hearing. And also, it is also intended to determine the impact that different institutions are having on the economy in terms of, for example, the agriculture. It's not only the revenue that you contribute through the bureau fees and other charges that you levy, or how are those things impacting the overall productivity in the different sectors or subsectors that you regulate. So we are a bit behind time, so we will not want to dwell too much on the opening ceremonies. So when we have concluded on the introduction, the next thing will be we'll get into the hearings, and as you will note, all of you are in the room together because we did this rather than calling people to come individually in sequential order. We brought everybody together because from what we know, all of the issues, especially when it comes to revenue generation, they are pretty much the same. What would differ would be the various specific areas that you regulate and on which you levy the charges. But when it comes to your collaboration with the Liberia Revenue Authority, for example, when it comes to declaring the revenue to the appropriate authorities and all those body issues are similar. When it comes to whether we call them or internally generated revenue that you can then tie to some internal expenditure that you make that are not on budget, those are all of the different issues that come up from time to time that we will need to talk about. But in that context, the principle that we encourage is openness. If for some reason an institution is raising revenue and also using it in a way, the principle of transparency and declaration is important. Because at the end of the day, whatever ministries and agencies levy on the public, whether it's the individual or businesses or producers or immigrants in the case of immigration, or visa in the case of foreign affairs, or passport, it feeds into personal expenditure by persons. And these things do have sometimes political repercussions. Recently, we've seen the president set up a committee to investigate the cost of certain basic goods and services. So when government institutions are collecting resources, these things add up. Farmers, for example, or importers of basic commodities that feed into agricultural commodity, or people coming to the country to do business or to visit for tourism. They may be complaining about some of our charges. But if we can say, well, these charges are not just because government want to squeeze people's pocket, but they are for legitimate purposes, and we can make that case, then it justifies. So that is why the principle of openness and transparency becomes important. And sometimes the issues get taken up at the level that you and I will have no influence over. For example, at the level of the national legislature. So that when we go for budget hearing, eventually, when these questions are asked, why are these agencies expected to pay this much, or why are they collecting this much? You may not be there, we will be there. Then we can tell your story. So that is why we think whether you are reporting those resources directly to the consolidated accounts, or is being used for other purposes that contribute to your service delivery, it needs to be known to everybody else. So thank you very much for coming. Having said that, we will ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs, being the doyen of the cabinet, to make the opening remark on behalf of all of you on the other side of the table, and then we can get into the whole technical discussions. And happy to see you again. It's been a long time. I have been wondering where you have been. So good to be again. Welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the introduction. But I definitely want to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Finance for the invitation extended to us to do this presentation here today. As the Rector said, all the collective contribution to the revenue, and we need to justify it and inform you so you can do your presentation should in case you are asked, and we're going to do just that. For on the staff, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I just have one appeal. The letter that we received from you, got it yesterday after 5 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock. And so in the future, we appeal that if we can get it early enough, it will give us enough time to prepare ourselves. So not to take up much time, we're already late in the day. So I just turn over, I think with the press, right? Yeah.
Public Works team.
So what you, yeah, so who manages the project?